Good afternoon, Year 8s. If you're working on Monday afternoon, could you please write today's date, which is January the 11th, 2021. If you're doing it on Tuesday's afternoon's lesson, then it's the 12th, 2021. And then today's title is Manipulative Lady Macbeth. Take 30 seconds to copy this down into your exercise book in a black or blue pen and then underline it with a ruler for me, please. To start today's lesson, we've got a quick quiz. This should take you roughly 5 minutes to do, but there are 2 questions here. So question number 1, why does Macbeth not want to kill King Duncan towards the start of the play? This follows on from one of the lessons from last week. So from Act 1, Scene 7, the earlier part of the scene, why does Macbeth not want to kill King Duncan? You need to get at least 2 ideas. If you can't find these ideas, or you can't remember what ideas you need to be looking for, then please turn to the page in your anthology, page 16, to get these ideas. Then for number 2, how would you describe Lady Macbeth at the start of the play? I need at least 3 explained adjectives for this one. So for example, at the bottom it's got that idea that she's manipulative and a reason why. So I need 3 more adjectives. How would you personally describe Lady Macbeth at the start of the play? You've got 5 minutes to do this. Pause the video now and complete this in 5 minutes. Okay, so before we start, we are going to be reading a scene summary before carrying on with the lesson. This scene is following on in the same scene as last week's lesson, okay? So Macbeth has just talked himself out of killing the king, and you should have got several reasons in the quick quiz for why he has done this. But a few of those might be the fact that he's his cousin, that he's really close to him, that he's just given him the power to become the Thane of Cawdor, that idea that he's under his roof, so he should be looking after him, and that idea that if fate should make it happen, it will happen anyway. Okay, so that is in the exact same scene. However, Lady Macbeth then enters and asks why he is not yet to commit the deed. He replies by saying that he's not going to go through with it. He believes Duncan is too good a king. Lady Macbeth, though, doesn't like this, and she reacts very badly, questioning Macbeth's manhood and calling him a coward. When he asks what the consequence of failure is, though, she begins to shout at him and says she would rather fail than not try at all. Impressed with his wife's determination and sudden anger, Macbeth buckles and says he will do it, so he is going to go and kill King Duncan, but that they must be careful not to accidentally give away their plan. This is where we're going to be reading our scene today. So what I would like you to do is turn to page 16 of your anthologies and read this part of the scene that I've got on the left hand side. On the PowerPoint there is a small bit cut out from Lady Macbeth's section, and then it skips on to Macbeth's bit. If you look in your anthologies, you can only focus on the bit that is on the screen currently to make it easier for you. Now, what I'd like you to do for this activity, spend 5 minutes reading this scene on page 16, and then could you link these statements to the correct quotes? Okay, so in the first one, Lady Macbeth thinks that if they are courageous, then they will not fail. You need to write that into your anthologies and then draw a line to which quote that this links to. They are chronological, so number 1 should be towards the top and number 5 should be towards the bottom. Take 5 minutes trying to complete this activity. Having completed this activity, I'd now like you to please write this quote into your exercise books and then spend 5 minutes annotating it. I've already started the annotations off for you, so I've done an annotation off of false, okay, to try and start you off. you can add to these annotations that I've already written, or alternatively, you can just write those ones down, copy those down, and then add a few more of your own. I'm expecting, though, at least 4 more annotations for yourself. Aim for between 4 or 6 extra annotations. In the bottom right hand corner of this slide, I've got some things that you could be focusing on when you're trying to annotate. So like the meaning of the quote, the meaning of some words or phrases, some context, the writer intent. There are several things that you could be focusing on when annotating this quote, okay? But if you can see, I've picked up words like face, hide, heart, and know. If you can annotate or develop off those, it will make it easier for you. For our penultimate activity, I would like you to spend 10 minutes now, having practiced doing the annotations on the previous quote, doing some more for yourself here. So we've got we fail, but screw your courage, and he as in a death, okay, or lie as in a death, sorry. So what I'd like you to do, the same as you did in the last slide, but now spending 5 minutes per quote, get between 4 this time and 8 annotations per quote. If I was personally annotating the quote, I'd focus on the imperative of we fail to start off with. If you don't remember what imperative means, then you can look up the definition in your books or in a dictionary or on the internet to help. That's your starting point to help start you off. Like I've said, spend 10 minutes on this first. For the final activity, we've got a write-up to be looking at. So I'd like you to imagine you are Macbeth and then answer for me, how has Lady Macbeth managed to convince you to kill Duncan so easily? So for the top bit, we're looking at ultimately Lady Macbeth was convincing because. Why was she so convincing? Was it because she was manipulative? Was it because she was quite strong-willed? Was it because she was determined? Was it because she was aggressive? That's up for you to decide, but give a reason why. So she was convincing because she was able to manipulate Macbeth into killing the king by making him feel like he was weak. That would be an example for a thesis statement that you could write. What I'd like you to do, though, is make sure that you base this on one of the quotes that we have looked at today. So where it says, when she said, get one of those quotes in. So we fail, but screw your courage. Okay. But then say, what does this present? Don't ignore the annotations you've done on your quotes in your exercise books. Use those to support yourself. So you look at the quote as a whole and what it suggests. Then for your third sentence, similarly, the word, pick a word from that quote and say why that was persuasive. And then finally, just sum up. Therefore, she caused a change of mind in Macbeth because. You've got 10 minutes to have a go at this. Aim for about 75 or more words. Okay, so we are towards the end of the lesson here. So as an extension task, I would like you to be thinking, what might be the consequences of Macbeth killing that king? Don't spend more than 2 minutes on this. Just a brief 20-word sentence. What do you think the consequences of Macbeth killing King Duncan might be? Thank you for completing today's lesson, Year 8, and I'll look forward to seeing you soon.